She stood before me, her arms crossed firmly, her eyes blazing with unwavering determination. "I'm going to be with him tonight," she stated, her voice calm but cold as frost. "You won't sway me." For a brief instant, I was rooted to the spot, wrestling with the painful truth that the woman I loved had become someone unrecognizable. For weeks I'd noticed subtle changes, covert late-night texts, unexplained disappearances, and an ever-widening emotional rift between us. Yet her blunt declaration shattered something deep inside me. I didn't raise my voice or beg. Instead, I gave a measured nod, holding on to the tattered fragments of my dignity. "If that's your choice," I said quietly, "then go ahead." Her eyes flickered with surprise, as though she'd expected a fight, maybe even hoped for it. But I'd been fighting a lonely war for far too long. That night, before she could leave, I packed a modest duffel bag and slipped out of the house. I needed space, silence, a break from the crushing weight of it all. I checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, and spent the night staring at the chipped ceiling, haunted by visions of her with another man. The pain of her betrayal stung more than the thought of her actions. It was the unraveling of the life we'd built together. Years of shared joy, aspirations, and vows now seemed like a bitter mirage. By dawn, I returned home, half hoping to find her there, praying it was all a twisted nightmare. But the house was eerily quiet. Her scent still lingered, her shoes neatly lined up by the door, yet it felt as if a stranger had invaded the space. I sat at the kitchen table, gazing into a cup of cold coffee, pondering how love could decay into this empty ache. Weeks passed, blending into one another. She returned occasionally, collecting her things, her words brief and sharp. There was no regret, no justification, just a distant look in her eyes, as if she'd detached long ago. I didn't try to stop her. I'd made my peace, or at least I was attempting to. Each time she walked away, I felt a bit less anchored, a bit more liberated. Then one day, a handwritten letter arrived. Not a quick text or email, but her thoughts etched onto paper. She expressed sorrow, not for her unfaithfulness, but for how she'd managed it. She admitted to years of unvoiced dissatisfaction, confessing she hadn't known how to articulate it. That night with him, she wrote, was meant to be her escape, but it left her more lost than ever. I read her words over and over, searching for traces of the woman I once loved, but found only someone who'd chosen ruin over restoration. I didn't reply. Some endings don't call for a response. Instead, I turned inward, rebuilding myself step by step. I tied on my running shoes, a ritual I'd forsaken after our marriage, and let the steady cadence of my strides anchor me. I reconnected with old friends, picked up my camera again, and rediscovered delight in fleeting moments. A dawn's glow, a spontaneous snapshot, a hearty laugh. The hurt remained, but it dulled over time. Months later, I heard she'd relocated to another city, perhaps with him, perhaps with someone else. It no longer mattered. Her choices were no longer my weight to bear. I came to see that love isn't about possession or control. It's about mutual respect. When that foundation collapses, everything else crumbles too. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I stood by the shoreline, the sea breeze brushing against my skin. I reflected on everything that had happened. The betrayal, the silence, the gradual rebuilding of myself. And I realized I was no longer furious. I wasn't broken. I was free, not just from her, but from the burden of deception, the illusion of a joy that was never truly real. In that freedom, I found tranquility. Sometimes, the deepest scars carve the path to the most profound healing.